Business Podcast.
Welcome to the Ochify the Game Business Podcast. I'm your host, Yuichi Ochi, aka Ochify, a veteran Oji-san with about 20 years in the game industry, mostly on the business side. I'll be sharing my thoughts and insights based on industry news and things I've seen and heard. In this day and age, having your own perspective is far more important than just blindly consuming information. This show aims to provide better insights for everyone involved in the business. But hey, talking only about stiff business stuff gets tiring. My friends call me the B-tier gourmet king of East Asia, so I definitely want to chat about some food info too. Today, starting with the game industry, we're going to read through Newzoo's 2026 PC and console gaming report recently published from the Netherlands. They're probably the most highly regarded in the industry for data analysis. It's a pretty fascinating report. Some parts are exactly as expected, but you can really see that the market is diversifying. It's not just about selling a ton of copies anymore. Well, selling a ton is great, obviously, but it's not just about selling at a super high price. There are other ways to succeed now. And for the gourmet corner, I went to Chengdu in Sichuan province, China, for the first time in 7 years. I ate a lot of delicious food, but I'll introduce a rabbit hot pot that left a really strong impression on me. Game business topic. So, let's dive into Newzoo's 2026 PC and console gaming report. As I said, it's quite interesting. I think there are about 3 main points, so I'll start by introducing them. First, what's the actual state of the market right now? Global PC and console game software revenue for 2026 is $94.3 billion. That's on the order of 14 trillion yen, so it is growing. And it's projected to reach $103.7 billion in 2028. That's a solid growth of over 10% in 2 years. In terms of players, it's exceeded 1 billion. The number of PC players is expected to reach 1.02 billion in 2028. Meanwhile, console players are projected to stay around 688 million. Now, how things sell and where users are differ by platform, which I'll discuss in detail later. But either way, PC is definitely growing in terms of player scale. As for the top-selling games, they still sit way up there. The Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, is still alive and well. The top 20 games still monopolize over 50% of total playtime. Roblox is particularly amazing, holding the absolute top spot. Roblox really made it, huh? About 3 years ago, I heard a talk from someone at Roblox in the US, and I didn't quite get what it was, but I thought, this is completely different, it's going to grow, and it really did. Looking further into market trends, the growth of PCs and consoles is actually quite different. First, the PC market. PCs are sold all over the world, right? So it continues to grow as the player base expands. In fact, PC revenue is predicted to surpass console revenue by 2028. In contrast, the console market relies more on an increase in unit price, or ARPU, rather than an expansion in player numbers. Premium, buy-to-play games sell well there, And then there are platform subscriptions, which also contribute to rising unit prices. As you all know, there's also the free-to-play business model. On PC, this makes up about half the market, but on console, it's only about 20%. Steam on PC is just a really well-built platform. It allows for discovery. Even with tons of games coming out, they don't just showcase a tiny fraction of them. They deliver a customized user experience, recommending different games to different people. And as I'll mention later, there are games in various price ranges. You might think, oh, it's cheap, I'll give it a try, and end up buying it. On the other hand, consoles rely heavily on premium buy-to-play games. Overall playtime in the West seems to be decreasing, but premium game revenue strongly contributes. They're expensive after all. Blockbusters like Battlefield or Resident Evil, when those sell a lot, they greatly contribute to the market size. That's the overall situation. Calling it the PC era might not be entirely accurate, but the PC market is definitely growing. We could have guessed this from before, but predicting the future is tough. You can't just easily predict the game market 10 years out, unlike demographics. Still, thinking about it now, it makes sense that PC is growing, and it will continue to grow and spread globally. Prices for memory and disks will likely drop thanks to AI. Whether that makes the market bigger is one thing, but consoles like PlayStation just raised their prices, right? Hardware prices are going up, while consoles are still a better deal than PCs price-wise. We'll probably see people holding off on buying. Now, this third point is really interesting and serves as great reference data for thinking about the future market. Earlier, I mentioned that the top 20 games account for over half of the playtime. But that share is gradually decreasing to 50%, and this trend is especially notable on PC. Instead, titles ranked 21st and below, the long tail, are increasing their share of playtime. Over the 3 years from 2022 to 2025, it grew by 44%. That's fascinating. I mean, I don't just buy the top 20 games myself. I try things I'm personally interested in, and this is happening all over the world. Price is also a factor. If you work a normal 9 to 5, you don't really have time to play massive AAA games. My friends usually take time off work for those, which I think is the right way to do it. But for everyone else, you just play in your spare time and you don't always want something massive. So it makes sense that the long tail is expanding its share. It's competitive, sure, but it shows that not only high budget, high volume, high quality games can sell. Looking at genres, sandbox playtime increased by 36%, probably because of Roblox. Meanwhile, mainstream genres like Battle Royale dropped by 27% and shooters dropped by 5%. Genres typically handled by AAA titles are seeing a structural decline. In the long term, this really means diversification is advancing. As for price points driving the market, it's a $30 to $50 range. AAA games go higher to $50 or $70, but it's $30 to $50 driving things. Furthermore, on PC, new indie games priced under $30, such as $19 or $7, accounted for 9% of total PC revenue in 2025. Overall revenue from new sub-$30 titles jumped 156% between 2022 and 2025. That's a 2.5 times increase. Amazing. The market is truly diversifying. So, what does this mean? I've been talking about this a lot lately, but utilizing AI will definitely make game development more efficient. The era where you can make a decent level game without spending a fortune is coming soon, maybe in about 5 years. It might be hard right this second, but we're already seeing successful patterns using AI like Arc Raiders. That's an irreversible trend. The old excuse of we don't have the budget so we can't raise the quality won't fly anymore. Everyone will be making games. Steam already sees around 20,000 releases a year, and that number is only going to increase, and the baseline quality will go up. Basically, games will be fun by default. So, if it's fun, what makes your game different? That's where games that skillfully incorporate trends, like hyper-casual or Roblox games, might start selling well on Steam too. Streamers might start their own game companies. The composition of players participating in the industry will change, and we'll see various new patterns of success. Honestly, working in the game industry now, if I were to make a new game, I'm a bit hazy on what exactly leads to commercial success. There's no clear answer yet. The traditional way, spending 2 years and hundreds of millions of yen, is better left to studios with a proven track record if it's a completely new IP. If you're starting fresh, it's all about buzzworthiness, having a clear target audience that will go, oh, when they see it, and maybe not spending too much time on it to keep costs down. There's just so much to consider now. I'll mention this in the Gourmet Corner too, but I went to Chengdu, China for an indie game pitch event. I saw pitches for about 30 games in development in one day. These events are hosted by Chinese indie game investors. The location changes every time. Previously it was in Shanghai, and before that, Xiamen. There are so many game creators all over China. When looking at indie game pitches in the past, if a concept's shown, I could easily think, if they tweak this, it might sell. But now I feel like I need more market insights. You have to think more objectively. What kind of players will play this game? Or, looking at past data, it should sell about this much. If you don't think that deeply, it just becomes a gamble. As a result, I don't really know. If I were in the investor's shoes right now, I wouldn't know what to invest in. I saw a few that looked interesting, but will they actually sell? I feel like I need to wait and analyze things more. Maybe my approach itself is wrong. It gave me a lot to think about, but no clear answers. To summarize, this report implies that the PC market will grow. Consoles will maintain a certain scale by adjusting ARPU and business models. Games that meet console user needs will absolutely still sell. However, it's about how games are presented. So many games are coming out. The Nintendo Switch alone had about 3,000 games released last year. That's 60 games a week. You can't introduce 60 games to everyone. They need a more customized presentation, like what you see on the initial boot screen. I'm sure companies are already discussing this internally. Ultimately, it's about the total experience delivered to the customer. If they don't address this, dedicated consoles might just become a niche product. That's it for today's industry talk. Oceanify the Game Business Podcast. All right, on to the gourmet info. As I said, I went to Chengdu in Sichuan province, China. First time in 7 years. Chengdu alone has a population of 20 million. It's a huge city like Shanghai. but the atmosphere is completely different. It's a big city, but it has a laid-back local feel. The cost of living is cheaper than in Shanghai, and it feels less dense and more relaxed. Looks like a nice place to live. Oh, and regarding time zones, China only has one time zone, 1 hour behind Japan, but Chengdu is far west of Shanghai, so the sun rises and sets much later. It's still bright out at 8 or even almost 9 p.m. I thought that was great for enjoying the evening. So the food, you probably have an image of Sichuan food being spicy and red, and yeah, my lunch and dinner were both red, but the flavors are different. Some aren't that spicy, others are, but nothing was overwhelmingly, painfully spicy, and it's not just spicy. They use Sichuan peppercorn for that tingling sensation, and it's highly aromatic. What I want to introduce today is the rabbit hot pot I had for dinner. The place is locally known as Xiong Qi Tu. The Xiong is from hero, which is also the first character of my name Yuichi, so I felt a connection. Qi means to wake up / rise, and Tu is rabbit. Very popular spot. I went at 6 p.m. and by 7 p.m. there were 30 or 40 people waiting outside. To cut to the chase, rabbit meat tastes kind of like chicken. It's smaller, so there are some little bones that make it slightly tricky to eat, but it's very tender with a nice elasticity, delicious meat. First, the soup comes out. It tasted like a mix of seafood and meat broth packed with umami, red, spicy, but incredibly savory. Then you pick the vegetables and mushrooms you want to add and eat it shabu-shabu style. Classic hot pot. You make your own dipping sauce with sesame oil, vinegar, soy sauce, garlic, green onions, whatever you like. Even though hot pot is a basic style, the soup base really changes its whole expression. Oh, and they put bean sprouts in it. I noticed Sichuan food uses a lot of bean sprouts. It reminded me of a Korean spicy braised monkfish dish that also uses them. Anyway, it's red, but full of umami. I kept tossing in mushrooms and meat. A very deeply flavorful rabbit hot pot. If you ever go to Chengdu, definitely check it out. All right, time for the closing remarks. Please send me your feedback. I'm on X as Yuichiochi. If you think I'm wrong about something or want to argue a point, please tell me. Nobody has ever told me that, but what I say isn't the only truth. I used to think I had a broad perspective, but recently I've realized maybe I don't. I need to reform my thinking, so I'm waiting for people to give me some new stimulation. Also, let me know if there are topics you want me to cover. Our next episode will probably be after we enter May. With Golden Week coming up, I might have more time, so maybe we'll do something a bit more hands-on, looking at Steam rankings while actually playing a game. It might be fun to dive deeper into game content than I have before, or I might completely change my mind. Either way, catch you in the next episode. Stay insightful.
Ultra 5 Game Business Podcast.